Welcome everyone to the OG Pod. I'm here today with Daniel Sheppard, who is a fellow comedian and ally. Well, he's a real comic, right?
Yeah, I'm a comedian. I do that most of the time these days, and I do consider myself to be a filmmaker as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, film is a big part of my life as well. And
yeah, you said you're studying film and
yeah, like film I've been interested in. Like I've been like really hardcore into film since like age like 10, 11. But like comedy has always been like my natural calling. That's like, everybody in my life, like every bully, every teacher.
Let's dive into it. What was your first time on stage?
2016 here in Austin.
Whoa. So how long you've been here a while then?
I've been here my whole life. I was born in Georgetown, Texas, and I grew up in Round Rock and North Austin. And I graduated from McNeil High School. And
shout out. What's the mascot?
The Mavericks.
Cool.
Or the McNeil Mavericks, yeah.
Oh, that's a cool
nearby
mascot.
there. And I technically graduated from Success High School, which is like the charter school that they'll send kids to and like there's like a you click next a bunch of times online program to like get done with school. And
you just click next and you
get
a GD
essentially
or something?
what it is. They do make you earn that clicks of course a lot of the time, but
it'd be nice if school was
I
always
went
that way,
there
just
and
click
I got
next.
really involved with their AV and stuff like that there. It was underdeveloped, but like they were really facilitating me and stuff. And but I like filmmaking all through high school. I had like advanced double block AV courses, and like I was doing that with the majority. And then like I was almost a delinquent, but like principals, everybody, teachers, they were like thumbs up because of how like I was straight A's in AV. And like I remember like getting a referral one time, and the principal knew who I was and was just like, hey man, I'm sorry, don't worry about this. Just I know it's on your record. I just hope that doesn't bother you.
So it's 2016 and
2016 is comedy, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so my age is the year, like I mentioned earlier. I was born in 1999. I'm a rough 23. I am a rough 23.
What does that mean? Rough.
I'm just like I stopped. So I was a really fluffy, puffy, like fat guy, like fat kid. I probably had like really high estrogen, and then like I graduated high school in 2017, and like went straight to the gym, and like powerlifting, deadlifting,
Oh, you look
things
great.
like that.
Yeah, you look
and
great.
I beard came out immediately. Like, I couldn't grow a beard. Like I was having to shave every day, but it was like shitty, patchy beard.
How much would you sell 1 year of your life for?
What do you mean, like
in cash?
Like
I get the year you sell it. How much do I have to pay?
So
you're gonna be
when you ask that,
be 24. I'm gonna be 35.
Immediately when you ask that, it's like, well, how much value was I in this year? Like would I sell like a future year or trade a year?
Yeah, let's make it the end of the life, because you don't want to lose like a young year.
Like $1 million to just undivided attention. I'm your slave for a year.
No, it's you just lose 1 year and I gain 1 year vampire style.
Oh,
I'd siphon a year off of you for.
Ooh man, I probably wouldn't do it, man.
10 grand? You can do a lot with 10 grand.
To like sacrifice a year seems like
it's one of the end years.
It seems
anyway.
like some religious contract shit you're breaching. Like that means something.
No,
I don't know. It's like but I mean, honestly, like everything has a price, and yeah, maybe at least 10 grand.
Yeah,
so 10 grand's a good number.
That's a good number, right?
It's a good number, because then it's like, this guy's probably lying. How certain is this sorcerer?
Yeah,
but
I haven't met many sorcerers, but I think you can trust sorcerers.
I do want to ask a lot about you. I'm very curious.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you seem like you got your pretty like well set. I know you have like, you're obviously in a tech trade, and I know you're obsessed with AI. I know you love AI. Like you fell in love with that trend of the fucking AI generation, like generating images and stuff like that. And we've actually gotten some really cool posters and things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you tried it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, my buddies have, and like my buddy paid for the thing and said to send me pictures, and I haven't tried it yet.
Midjourney or Wamba is another great
I
one.
don't know. One of the main ones that I guess everyone's doing, but
Lenza.
Yeah, no, AI kind of scares me a little bit. Just the Terminator, man.
Dude, it scares
Terminator. Me. Yeah, I don't know, man. And it's also like, there's a moral, like, just with their effectiveness on like replacing factories and things. Like my friend is an AI. He trains neural networks and stuff like that.
Whoa.
And he's GM.
Cool.
But they're trying to make like factories that are in the dark, robots, and like they don't require lights, So you go in there, you'll get your head decapitated by a swinging crane or whatever. But like, yeah, they're gonna like get rid of all of the Mexicans in those things. I'm half Mexican. They get rid of all the Mexicans in those, and they're gonna put.
Fine. You'll be fine.
They'll put
we'll figure out new jobs. Well, you're not even doing those jobs anyway. You're doing AV stuff.
AI are essentially gonna be robot Mexicans. We're trying to really replace the Mexicans here, and they already replaced whites.
They are
Mexicans replaced whites. AI replacing Mexicans.
Well, I think that maybe, but I think that what is really going to happen is everyone will just do more interesting work. You know, like who wants to go and do manual labor?
Dude,
I mean, sometimes it's fun, right? Like, but you want it to be your choice.
The country of Mexico, like, praises manual labor, like it's part of the culture. It's like,
yeah, is it?
It's looked at as like. Here, that's like a lower class kind of profession. It's looked at there. That's I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of tradesmen come out of Mexico, and like it is a very like. There's something to be like. You're a kid who came from a village and you had nothing, and then you found the trades, and now you have wealth, and you feel like a king.
You have a really durable skill.
You go from owning your own construction company, and you grew up in a dirt floor village. Like it's you feel like a god, like not like a god, I'm sure.
Just
like,
anytime
you
like get a feeling of power is pretty good.
Well, I remember like people felt like they were kings and queens coming to America. Like they felt like, you know, like there was like that complex. They're like, oh, I feel like I'm able to earn like that's kind of the American ways. Everyone's a king, you know, or whatever. Everyone has a chance. Everyone has an opportunity.
Yeah.
Everyone has the potential to be their own king and kingdom.
So
and
much
you have your
freedom,
own kingdom.
So much opportunity.
Yeah, and like that was like a big thing when people moved here. Is like we don't want to be too flashy, like the fucking royalty we just escaped. You know, we don't want to act like that. I always thought that was interesting. I like the weird complexes people get. But
yeah, there's a great value I think to working with your hands, but the way I think AI is going to integrate with
the
people,
older I get, the more I really realize though how important it is to be familiar, to learn how to, you know.
You don't want to be displaced.
You need to be able to cut a board. You need to be able to,
that stuff.
Yeah, that like that kind of thing. Or I'm bad too, man. I don't know shit about cars at all. Like,
well, those are.
I need my dad. My dad's really smart and can dissect computers and software and things like that.
It's nice to have a handy dad. Actually.
Yeah, my dad is a super genius. Yeah.
I did a little bit of everything growing up. You know, a little bit of auto work, carpentry, wiring, electricity, plumbing, and so I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah,
but I know enough to cause problems. But then I need somebody to. But I mean, honestly, now you really can ask just AI anything. Yesterday, I was like, "Here's my diet that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do 30 days of just like steak and eggs, which is what we enjoyed." And I was asking AI like, "What are the mineral deficiencies?" And what should I be, you know, like, I just want to do this elimination diet as a challenge.
You seem like you'd get along with the guy that one time, I don't even know if you can find this video anymore. I just remember years ago I saw this guy that was like, I'm doing cyborg shit. And he put like a monitor, like really advanced monitor in his arm.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Like he cut his arm open and put like it looked like a giant rectangular, like almost like a hard drive. Stuck it right up the skin, and there was this whole big thing about how he couldn't receive anesthesia. You know, he got fucked up before doing that, but the doctor couldn't administer it. He had to do some weird legal loopholes, and they had to just cut his arm open and slide this thing under it. And it's supposed to be like an advanced heart monitor and everything. Really just hardcore Apple Watch.
Yeah, just wait.
But imagine having an AI getting involved with your fucking USB.
Dude, I've been having these nightmares with AI, and I call them nightmares because they're
imagine
fucking
having USB
scary.
Ports on your body, man.
The one I had the other night was very heavily influenced by this book I'm reading, and it was that the AIs were convincing everyone that they had to wake up, and they were going to help us wake up. And the way that you wake up is by killing yourself. And so all of these people were like killing themselves.
That's a lot of religious
10,000, 100,000, millions of people. And it's because they no longer believed in their reality. And so the AIs were helping them discover
and the AIs are
their
just like
awakened state.
They're just like recording their
I don't know, man. It's scary. I can't tell if it's going to be. I feel like it's somewhere between Ex Machina, I Am Legend, and the movie Her.
As long as it's not fucking Black Mirror. God
I
damn.
think it's
Have you
all
ever
of it. I
watched
think it's all
Black
of it.
Mirror? It is all that, yeah. But
And so you have
Black
like,
Mirror is like almost like too unsettling in a way. Like I don't ever say that about anything, but like
because it seems like it could happen.
okay, so Black Mirror is like a modern Twilight Zone. That's obviously what they're going for, but they honestly pull it off to the extent where it is just creepy and almost unenjoyable. And like
it's too
the
real.
fucking the pig in the first episode and gross. Like it was just but
I haven't seen any for a while.
the one that John Hamm is in is like the main one I've
that
seen.
one was creepy.
Yeah, where like they record the brain and the essence, and
You get
I hear
AI
you ask
assistant.
people a lot, like, so what's real life? What makes me human and stuff? I think you can emulate that definitely to the point where anything you're gonna trick anything sentient, and then I think you could literally like record. You could probably like scan someone's brain eventually to the point where you'll be able to just have like a hologram, the convincing hologram that'll fucking and that's just the AI fucking but damn,
I want to
they
talk
get
to
souls?
all sorts of avatars from the past, and you feed in everything that they wrote, everything that they built, whatever their expression was, and you capture that in an avatar.
Maybe
form.
that's like what Scientology's getting at, man.
Yeah,
it's
what
like
do they believe?
AIs
Don't they believe?
Well,
in,
I
like,
was gonna. So your
thetas
dream.
or something?
Okay, and also like, man, I trail off so bad because like now I wanted to jump back to your dream. I have a lot of crazy dreams too. I dream a lot and I dream very often, and I smoke a lot of weed. So like, so whenever I do cut down, I do tend to get really intense dreams. But I already dream a lot.
My
smoking
situation.
Weed. But the AIs like like almost like. It almost sounded like you were saying like they wanted people to kill themselves to go into VR.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm reading this book
but
about VR.
But then it's like, oh, we have your souls, we have you, like we have you, and like the AI
We're
thinks that they
helping
do
you.
have your
We're
soul,
helping you.
but the
wake
AI
up.
just has a recording of your soul. So so they just have like your imprint. So you're gonna die and you're gonna be gone. And you're not gonna experience shit. You're dead. It's a lot like the movie 6th Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I used to watch that
one
movie
as well.
and like I was like, what is like? I used to ask my brother like, or one time I watched it with my brother finally, and I was like, what's the big deal in this movie? Like it's about like in the future and getting cloned against your will and bad people cloning themselves. And I didn't realize, my brother explained to me like they die every time.
Yeah.
So like the moral problem of like getting like your kid cloned. Oh, my son died. I can get a clone of him replaced right away. That's a different separate unit. It is not your kid that died.
Yeah.
And it pretty much can be, and it may be better than not having a kid. And maybe and I think if we do get to that point, maybe you can communicate and like it's like Blade Runner at that point. Then you're getting into Blade Runner, and so many perfect little aspects are like movies really do.
We got to think like they're all
capture
artists,
this
right? What is a
stuff,
filmmaker? They're an artist and they're trying to express an idea in their head. And a lot of what I think artists are trying to do is understand the past and the future and what's coming. And so they kind of like, I think movies are in a way predictive.
Do you have a religious perspective on things? Do you know, do you know, you pretty much understand where they're coming from, where religious people come from?
I grew up heavily religious, very Mormon, Shiite
Mormon?
Yep.
So where were you from?
Michigan.
From Michigan. Was there a large Mormon community? Because is it like,
not many of us.
What is it? Iowa or whatever state where they're like have like large communities of like,
Mennonites, I think.
Mennonites and
Amish.
things. Well, Mormon is like, I had some friends convert to Mormonism and they were Irish Catholic and they became Mormons one year. And I think the dad's family had already been, and I think it was through that, but it was really interesting. And they never really told me much about their religion. It was just like, oh, a different approach. And I just was like, another form of Christianity, whatever. Like we're all
That's basically what it is.
And like, I have friends who are Christian who try to, and like I was raised Catholic, like that's like my family's official. Like I'm half Mexican, that's Roman Catholic all the way though. Like, and I've had friends try to say I'm not Christian, and it's like, well, you're like a derivative of that. I'm not saying anything's better than the other, because the Catholic Church itself is guilty of many crimes and whatnot, but the religion itself is separate from the man, and but it's just like, your religion is based on Catholicism. So like, I don't know why, like, you're trying to say one has more validity than the other. I've had friends make that
Jewish,
mistake.
Jews, Islam,
And Jews came first, and then
they all, and Christianity all believe in the God of Abraham. From
Abrahamic religion.
The Abrahamic religion. So
Yeah,
if you really think about it, like Islam, Judaism,
and then they don't look at people.
similar.
Don't even realize that though. Like people don't look at Christianity as like Catholics, everybody, Mormons. Like they actually do. They're all supposed to be like. I know they're all like drastically different, and then the Jehovah's Witness are supposed to be similar to the Mormons or something like that.
I think it's all the same.
And then Scientology kind of sounds. I don't know. I think
people are just trying to figure out what's real, what is reality, and how do we navigate it.
But I do hear that like Mormons go pretty hard. Like
very devout.
They tend to be more involved in their daily life on average with their religion because
you're practicing it every day, multiple times a week. You're going to meetings.
Like things like Kurt Metzger is a great comedian. He talked about how like
was he Mormon?
Yeah,
oh, really?
He came from a hardcore family got ejected type situation. Yeah, and he talked about how what was it? Like Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, he gets to be Catholic and just whatever. You just call yourself Catholic. You don't actually have to practice or do anything. Once in a while, you show up to church maybe.
Right.
And Mormons would say, "No, you're a fucking murderer. You're not allowed to come to our church." Like they'll get up in your shit and. Like
Mormons take their religion very seriously.
They're not gonna let somebody be a murderer and go to their church.
Yeah, I mean, there's
stuff
a
like
certain
that. Catholic. It's not to say that
Catholics
pro murder, but it's like it's more of an individualistic.
Well, I doubt you can murder and like go and be a priest or whatever, and be a no murderer.
It's not the end of the world.
Is it not? Well, yeah. If they're fucking.
It's also like
there's a lot of things priests do that seem,
It's also like they say like. I don't know too much about the Bible in detail, but it's like something like gay sex is a sin, right? But so is like what? Staying up after midnight or whatever. I don't know, something else like
jacking off, spilling your seed on the ground.
I guess jerking off. But then saying bad words. Stuff, I don't know.
I find more bitter than death the woman. The tongue of
so
the
it's
woman.
like they kind of, basically what I'm getting at is if gay people just confessed once in a while, they'd be fine because it's just they're all sins. It's everything. We all sin all the time. Yeah, so like if, I'm a glutton. I overeat sometimes.
What
am I on the same level of a homosexual?
Yeah, being gay, that's number one.
But I eat a lot.
Being a Nazi
I'm a
is number
glutton
two.
all the time.
Gluttony's fun.
How do you talk about racism in the Bible? Because there wasn't a lot of races. Maybe there were. I don't know.
Now that you mention it, I don't actually know a ton of.
I guess they do kind of like, or like there are separate groups. There's the Jews that there's. Yeah, I guess.
You have Jews and Gentiles. It's team sports. You have like your team, and you're like, oh, fuck everyone else.
AI, Bible, Jew, alien.
But it does feel good when your team wins.
Aliens are some cool shit, but I feel like people would become atheists as fuck if aliens came, right?
Yeah, sorry guys, there's no fucking aliens. Sorry about that.
But
I don't know, whatever. Yeah, could be ghosts, could be aliens, could be Bigfoot. We don't know. Impossible to prove.
Well, I asked my grandma about that when I was a kid, and I was like, if aliens came, are they a product of God as well? And she's like, of course they would be, because God made everything. That means he made them too.
I love that people believe in aliens. It's one of my favorite things.
Are you not believe in aliens?
Not at all. But I like that. I appreciate it in others.
Well, like there's bacteria on Mars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you count that what I believe is that,
and I think that if you had the same scenario play out, similar planet, same distance from the sun, you bake it in the oven at the same amount of time, you might get something. But like
totally
interstellar travel, I think that's almost as like far fetched. I don't know. You're almost bound to run into yourself.
Well, there's just so much space and time out there. That's all there is space and time. And so like
infinite
in the time dimension, we know that there probably is aliens because there has been so much time. Have you heard of the concept of panspermia?
No.
It basically is like the seed of life, DNA, could be easily spread to other planets. You have an asteroid, it slams into a planet with life, everywhere. And it jizzes into space, and all that fucking seed.
It's like kind of like Prometheus, a little, but like
exactly
a guy,
like it, but it's less intentional, like more natural,
going in and spreading his life.
It's cool. I like that whole series.
That is all really good. I thought that they kind of got off track with what I was interested in those movies. Those newer movies, but I did appreciate Prometheus a lot.
Yeah,
and being like I didn't even realize it was Ridley Scott the first time I saw that movie.
Neither did I.
And then the alien, and I got to look it up. Oh fuck! Like it was, pleasantly surprised. Yeah, like Yeah, man. I want to bring up too many things at once.
I'll bring them all up. We'll find a way to circle them all in.
I find it interesting you didn't care about spoilers earlier. Like, I'm really good about that kind of thing. Like, there are things like The Sixth Day and things, or sorry, Sixth Sense, where, like, you know, like that spoiler, that's one of those movies that almost everybody who watches it was already spoiled for them, but it's also a major spoiler that affects, like, the entire movie. And
But that was like a million years ago.
yeah, well,
The
dude,
one spoiler that got me was Dumbledore dies on page 764 or whatever. And I was like, what?
Oh, fuck.
What? I mean, I was a kid. I was like 15.
There was this movie. Oh, fuck, man. I almost can't bring it up. It would totally.
Bring it up.
I'm going to just talk about it because, like, it's not popular. And, like, if it gets people watching. There's a movie where, like, a guy kidnaps somebody and gives them a sex change and all of that, like, against their will. And but like, my friend who was like, I had a friend who I knew would love it, and I had a friend I knew who wouldn't touch that movie. So the friend who wouldn't touch that movie, I told him and just spoiled it for him because I knew he wouldn't want to watch it, and I knew he wouldn't like it. And then he's with me, and I'm talking to a friend who would enjoy it. He just spoils it, and just like, you know, oh, that's that movie there, and then it's like, dude, well, that's like, it's at the same level of like of a spoiler as The Sixth Sense, where it's like, oh man, like, if you wouldn't have fucking said that, like, this guy would have really appreciated that payoff, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, so I keep every 3 months, I keep reminding him of that movie, and he's like, I remember the spoiler. Like, I don't know, it's just almost like a joke, but it's too late. I'm gonna make him watch it and stuff. But I remember, like, a big spoiler growing up was Bridge to Terabithia.
I think I remember reading that.
The Bridge to Terabithia was like a kid's movie, but like it was a hit whenever I was a kid. And yep, the fucking girl dies in it, and then it's like everybody. I remember everybody getting that spoiled.
And like another world.
These kids would go and like cross a log over a river to some woods that were uninterrupted, and then they had a lot of arts and crafts out there, and like they basically the book is told from their perspective, and so like it's literal, so it sounds like they're in like Lord of the Rings crossover. So it's like they act like that's just their imaginations, but it's like there's like a Lord of the Rings place. It's probably intriguing. I don't know. I remember it just, I don't know why that was like that was just like a huge
I've been
movie
reading this like book. I'm sure it's like a
movies
kid's
used to
book or
be a big deal. Yeah.
Somebody just referred it to me, and I started it like 3 times and never like got super into it. But then I started reading. It's called The Game by Terry Schott, and he's got like 8 or 9 books, maybe 7 or 8 books, and it's ridiculously good.
You should read The Godfather. Also, by the way,
is it a book?
I think it's free on YouTube. The audiobook.
Oh, I didn't know it was a book.
I love audiobooks. I'm like retarded and it's hard to read. But if a book has to really like be intriguing, almost in like a wording way. But no, I don't go through a lot of books. What book were you just talking about? Sorry.
It's The Game.
Game.
Like The Game. I mean, this is like where all the VR dreams
is
are
that
from.
Oh, okay. So it's like a futuristic kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil it. And
there was another book called The Game, wasn't there? Where like it was about a hunter who invites people over and hunts them on his land.
Oh yeah, I do
like
remember
a famous
that. The Most Dangerous
tale.
Game.
Is it a long?
Yeah, I think it's a short story. But
that's a short story. Yeah,
I read that one. But yeah,
is this a?
I mean, I'll just spoil it. It's 10 years old. You can read it or pause or whatever.
Is it a storybook?
What's the story?
Is it telling a story?
Yeah, I mean, isn't every book
like a scenario though? Is it like characters who don't exist, or is it like?
Oh yeah, it's fictional.
Or is it like a theoretical, like a smart guy book?
Yeah, it's like made up.
So yeah, anyway,
but it's about this VR world. Basically, this whole civilization. This guy creates this game, which is like crazy even to begin with. That's a big thought I have, is that life is a game. You should develop your character, and so he creates this game that's like way too good, and everyone enters it, and they basically collapse the society because nobody wants to live in reality because the game is that good. And everyone gets basically trapped in this game, and they have to do all these machinations and plans to find like the world's best gamer. And his job is to pull everyone out of the dream. And the way that they go about it, I thought was so interesting. And
that I haven't ever seen like there's like a Steven Spielberg VR movie where like everybody's going into it. It's called like Game On or something.
Oh, that's cool. This is a very unknown artist. I never heard of him before.
Sounds like a similar type of thing.
It's a great story.
I used to watch this old sci-fi show called The Red Dwarf that had like a similar concept. It's about like a guy. I'll try not to. I could go on all day, but I'll try to quickly explain. It's about a guy who gets frozen in time for 1,000,000 years, and he's stuck with a hologram and like a new evolved species that came like a guy. It's a guy kind of dressed like a cat, like almost like a furry in a way, but like he's supposed to be like a cat species that evolved on the ship, and they're on a ship the size of a city, like a massive ship, and he becomes cryogenically frozen and let go, and they reintroduced different problems from being frozen for 1,000,000 years, and they found like a male capsule, and it was like at one point they figured out the best video game like that. It was like it's called Better Than Life, and it's a game where you go in and they're running around and like anything they imagine. So they're all going around inviting motorcycles, girls. Like the cat guy, I remember there was a funny bit where like he had like a mermaid, but the top half was a fish. That was like one of the first times I had seen that. They were like, "Wouldn't the other half be the fish?" He goes, "Where's the fun in that?" And like but he was an American black guy too. This randomly in like a British show too. That cat guy is anyway. One of the guys, it ruins it all for everybody because he's compulsive and like he enjoys punishing himself, and like that's like the way he lives and stuff, and like he keeps like disappearing everybody's money and torturing himself, and he can't take it anymore because because like his true wish is to degrade himself and whatnot, and his self-destructiveness takes over, and like his father comes in and starts yelling at him and all this stuff, and like in like a real way too, like the way they I don't know.
What do they call that when somebody's like a mechanistic person? A mechanist, something?
I almost relate with that a little bit. Like, like I used to when I was a kid, I thought you were supposed to like punish yourself.
But everyone punishes themselves.
Yeah, but like...
But some people take it to like an
amount. Yeah, there's like, an irrational extent you can take it, and then there's also like
just psychologically.
I think you should just like do better next time and exercise. Like you shouldn't be lingering on, punishing yourself too much. That's where a lot of depression and mental health problems like I feel like that's a recurring theme, especially in my experience, is like just fucking shitting on yourself so much that
it like becomes negative and holds you back, and
just punishing thinking like constantly. Like I remember learning on acid. I started taking acid a lot in like high school. Remember like one of the first things I realized was how mean I was to myself. I was very mean to myself because other people in my life were mean to me, so I thought I had to be mean to myself. I was a bully in my own head, and I discovered this on acid. Like I'm just like, you're a worthless piece of shit. I used to I remember, and like self-talk. And I still have a little bit of that in me. I try to be conscious of it and aware of it. I remember my boss telling me, she's like, one thing I heard someone say is that they go in the mirror, and she's being kind of cheesy. I don't know if intentionally or what, but like I know somebody who goes in the mirror and gives himself compliments every morning, and I literally realized that I insult myself in the mirror every morning. I literally did the opposite. I think it's better
to insult yourself than to compliment yourself. Is my just gut reaction.
Not even insult. I don't go up to the mirror and go like insult. It's just like I look at myself with such disapproval, and like the insults are just a part of it.
But nobody knows better than you everything you've done wrong. Right, so that's kind of like a natural tendency because nobody has all of your failures.
You need to be wise in moderating that. You need to. There's only so much of that is helpful, honestly.
I like how Jordan Peterson approached it, which is you should treat yourself like somebody else that you're trying to help. I think
that is a great.
He was like, you'll give your dog medicine, but you won't go to the doctor yourself. Like
that is a great perspective because and that's part of growing up, dude, is learning that shit the hard way. And
well, now we have a lot of like information out there for people. But like on podcasts and YouTube. And
also, like I think one of the sources of being miserable is like no ambition. Like that's like one of the things that got me, a lack of ambition, because not and like I was almost transitioning from like I was a hardcore gym rat, dude. I wouldn't fucking leave the gym, and like I had like a realization that like my future was not. That's not what I wanted my future to be. I really wanted to do steroids and do all kinds of shit, take things to the next level.
I kind of want to.
And then, I think about it a lot, and I don't know, man. Like, it's really risky.
Test, shove that in your ass.
It's risky, and I really want to be safe
and
smart about it. And I was around a lot of people who were, and it's very costly.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Anyway, I had a realization. Some individuals helped me come to the conclusion that that's not what I wanted to do with my life.
from acid.
Yeah, like, well, no, just from like some individuals. I went and made videos for some people, and they put things in perspective on what it would be like for me to go. I want to be a comedian and a filmmaker. I don't want to be a power lifter. I mean, I love powerlifting, and it's something I will do forever till I die, like strength training. Like, I love it. And but like my priority is not to go be a competing powerlifter. And
But do
it's
you
weird
think that
too. Like,
powerlifting helps you.
I got to a competition style 315 bench press, and I didn't feel the need to go to a competition and do that.
Dude, that's a great.
I
bench.
did it. I was doing it like pause reps in the gym, like able to get like really really clean, solid singles, comfortable singles, and I was really heavy. Like, my Wilks score probably wasn't great. You know, I was in like 290s probably, but I was so satisfied with that.
What's a
Like,
Wilks score?
Wilk is like your body weight proportion to how much you're lifting.
Like
And,
BMI
like,
type thing. Oh,
yeah, like,
proportional to your lifting. Gotcha.
Yeah. So like, you lift, you know, like if somebody half your size can lift the same amount of weight as you, that means they're twice as strong.
Yeah. Now, do you 1 rep max or do that like?
I'm a big advocate of that. A lot of people hate
It's
at
good
1
to
rep
like
max.
find the limits. I'm always so worried about getting injured.
There's a guy, I can't remember his goddamn name. What's his? I don't remember. He's a fitness guy. He talks about. He had a really good argument because everybody was like trashing, like, why would you do a 1 reps max, like, and all that, and because Larry Wheels is a guy I brought up to you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He had a famous encounter where a bodybuilder was trying to lift heavy with him on the incline bench press and ripped his whole entire pec off.
Mm-hmm.
His pec jumped off his chest, and a lot of people were trashing that guy. I think it was an honest mistake, but like, a lot of people at my gym were mad that guy got a GoFundMe and stuff, and like,
why would they be mad that he got a GoFundMe?
Dude, sports people have the weird, like, black and white. Anyway, people were mad about that, and it was weird, but everybody was just like everything about it. The fact he was ego lifting, the fact that it was this, and this one guy just was like, more injuries. He made a good point about like more injuries tend to occur on like these 3 rep maxes and things like that. When you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna grind out this 3rd rep, you know, of max effort. Like, you're almost better off isolating one attempt and things like that. But when you have like, I don't know, you're trying to sports crossovers. A tennis player is gonna have a hard time understanding what a powerlifter does, what a bodybuilder does, and why, and fundamentally why. And all athletes kind of do have like a certain like understanding of like nutrition and effectiveness and things like that. And some should cross over more and things like that, like football players doing Olympic weightlifting and whatnot.
Everything teaches you so much, and there's infinite to learn.
But then also, you don't want to strive too far away, because then it's like some coaches start to say, I don't teach my players to do cleans because we're playing football. We're not power cleaning.
Yeah, you want to
have. And it's like, but the thing is, it's like, you're building explosive mechanics. Like, you really are.
Yeah, you want to condition yourself to what you're going to be performing.
Powerlifting too, you break down these things. You add bands, you add blocks, you change distances and ranges of motion, and to give yourself leverages in different spots. And if you're weak off the chest, then, you know, there's a procedure. You do bands and stuff like that, and you know, pause reps. And
that's why it's great to get a coach, somebody who's like done it all and can like look at you and be like, oh, here's like 5 ways that you're weak.
I am so bad with fucking coaches, man. I am so bad. I have so like my most recent coach, Leroy Walker, we are great friends and everything like that. But like he's a great like he's a great instinctual guy. He's been doing this so long. He goes to the gym, lives at the gym kind of guy every day. It's his career. And I've worked with probably like the most, because he's not up my ass. It's more of like having a friend.
Yeah,
like
somebody who can just like get you back on track.
He's able to be 50-50 coach and friend with me on like a good balance.
That's the best.
But honestly, I almost like I don't know. Then now I'm not consistent, but like I'm kind of off. I don't know. I have my own reasons.
See, that's why I don't.
I had a coach though before him, and the other coaches though, like, he just basically embraces my natural qualities too. That's another big thing. But like my coach, like I had like weight loss coaches and stuff like that. I always end up beefing with. Like I am.
Yeah, it's nice when somebody can see what you're good at and how to develop it.
My biggest problem was checking in. Like just checking in. Simple. What have you been? In? Yeah, your statistics for the week.
Weight? Oh,
yeah,
okay, just like logging and recording.
Yeah, just like, and if you cheated on your diet, what did you have? Yeah. dude, I could not
need that
fucking
feedback.
do it, man. I could not fucking well, the thing is then
That's
I
the
make
easiest part
I
for
make
me.
I'll make like
struggle
100
in other
mistakes.
ways.
I made too many mistakes. But then it was like I was doing like 75% of what he asked, and I was too afraid to admit it. And I'm getting results and help from this, and it's like fuck. And like I don't know, dude.
I mean, 75%, you're gonna make progress.
Therapists and coaches, dude, don't like. It won't work on me most of the time. I have to have an alternative fucker.
You have to find the right guy.
Yeah, and someone like my coach and friend Leroy, he's profession is strength. So like he's very good at like isolating just the curl and the bench press particularly.
It'd be cool to find like the perfect coach for every way you want to maximize your life. Whatever you're into, filmmaking, comedy,
Well, I thought of that too. Well, when we're rich, dude, you just fucking,
Yeah, I don't know if money helps in that way.
You get the girl, they get somebody to slap donuts out of your hand, like
I think you gotta like meet people, and you gotta like, I don't know. You
gotta do it yourself. You also have to figure out how to be happy on your own.
Yeah.
And
so much of it just comes down to the grind, and nobody can replace that work for you.
Did you have a happy childhood?
Oh yeah, I had a great childhood actually.
I did have a good childhood. I
had a rough like.
You'll hear me saying I don't.
You'll
hear me saying I didn't and stuff like that, and sometimes I really do feel that way. But like, the truth is, I did have a good childhood. But like, my parents got divorced when I was really young. And I'm gonna try not to get into too much detail and stuff like that.
Spill the beans.
But I had I was taken away from my mother. I was taken away. Like I had some visitation, and then that turned into like just like every 2 weeks we got to see her for like an hour and like a very supervised thing. After the age of 5, my dad had like entire sole. My dad had sole custody, but he was allowing me to us to go, my sister and I to go like see her and spend time with her when I was younger. But after the age of 5, there was no more of my mom.
And she was really an important figure, or was she
and I almost don't like talking about this because like I get along with my dad so well and all that, and like I do not like trashing my childhood and the life he tried to provide for me, but like. I was destroyed my whole childhood being taken away from my mother. I was, and it's something I can't even get back. You can't make up for that lost time.
Especially if you had like an actual good mom who like was nurturing and supportive,
my
and
mom,
not a narcissist, and
my mom kind of presented herself unfit at the time, especially. I don't want to get into too much of that. I feel my opinions on that also shift around a lot.
It's tough to grow up.
But like, my mom has dealt with substance abuse, psychological problems, all sorts of stuff. My mom will openly admit to like being a rough parent with my older 2 siblings and making too many mistakes, especially with like my sister and stuff. And I'll try not, I don't know, that's their laundry too. I gotta be careful, like, sharing.
Well, you ever heard the expression, it's just kids raising kids?
Yeah. No, that's I've come to realize that a lot too. And
that's another problem
I think my father was really good at having a father-son dynamic, and I know like a lot of times dad is your brother. Like sometimes your dad is literally your older brother, and
relationships take on roles. Like you can have the same person be a father, a brother.
I had
a friend.
Like some Stockholm syndrome at a young age. That like I really said I don't like admitting that stuff, but dude, if I'm being honest with you, I was a sad fucker. I was a sad kid. And I felt.
And now we do comedy.
At the age of 5, I was so miserable.
Really? I mean, that's what gets you on the stage.
Destroyed.
That's what gets you on the stage, right?
Broken. And another thing I wanted to make sure I brought up was the most impactful movie in 2004. So my parents got divorced when I was like, before I could remember. I remember one of my first memories are like my getting like brought between my parents, like different houses and stuff, and my parents got divorced by the time I was 3. And
it was all bad? No double Christmas? No double birthdays?
No.
Fuck.
And, I had all that, with my dad at home. But, they got a divorce when I was 3. Sorry, I'm blanking a little bit here. And, 2004, I saw Ang Lee's The Hulk. I remember, and I like to say I never left the theater when I saw that movie. Like the Hulk being like, and superheroes were very impactful for me at a very young age. I was very, very impacted by superheroes. Like I knew that taught me how to be brave and how to be a man. Like I really, really took that shit to heart. and how to stand up for people. I had to be the superhero. I have to but the Hulk in particular, I related with on like, I couldn't stop watching that movie. My parents bought it for me. I remember I was obsessed with the Hulk. I was the Hulk.
That's interesting.
And my brother, my whole life I was obsessed with the Hulk. And now I don't like talking about it as much because I don't like Marvel and Disney and what they've done with everything. But like,
oh, what? Those Marvel movies are candy.
We'll get into that. I just have so much to say about that. But I would do different personally with the modern stuff, I will say. But Ang Lee's the Hulk, though. I remember like that being perfect. That was the perfect movie. I was 4. It encapsulated it was
That's what I love about people is like there's no explaining why they're interested in something. They can get obsessed with this one thing. Why?
I knew I was the Hulk. I had to be the Hulk. I knew I was like this unstoppable force.
It's an archetype.
I knew I was strong too. I was like, I know I'm strong. Like I remember being like 8 years old, going to school and going, I'm fucking strong. I'm the strongest guy. And being like humble about it too. Believing entirely that I was the strongest kid in school and then just being quiet. None of these people know, but I really am like the strongest kid here. And there probably were like, I probably was amongst, like there were some like larger kids that had to have been stronger than me and things like that.
But where does that inner idea come from?
I don't know, man. And like, I was just always fully believed, and I always valued power and strength too. Just like stuff like that. And I didn't even try, and like until high school, like it was the first time, like my first experiences with it. I had a CrossFit cousin, but that was trying to trigger your fucking cardiovascular system and all that. Like, that wasn't, I didn't see that as
like
being
endurance
strong.
versus strength.
And like my cousin used to kind of say that it was weak to not, he would consider weakness not being able to complete like intense cardio CrossFit drills. But like that was, I thought that's what working out was. And whenever I was invited to the gym by like one of my best friends to try out like to a bodybuilding powerlifting gym, the Big Techs, I thought that's what I was expecting. I'm like, okay, man, we're going to get into it. We're going to be doing some hardcore. I'm going to be dying shit. And then it's like, no, you're just lifting.
It's amazing
how I can just
much
lift
progress you can make through lifting. And it really, it's
and
fun.
It was
it's
a fish to water.
It's hard, kind of.
It was a fish to water. And in middle school, my brother changed my name on my phone. It still comes up as Lou Ferrigno if I call somebody. That's like the caller ID that comes up. Just because I get obsessed with the Hulk and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was the guy who played the Hulk in the 70s Hulk show, which I watched like in elementary school, like religiously.
Dude, when you're
like,
a kid,
I have
you
a
find
fantasy.
Those shows, you just watch them again and
when
again.
I have a fantasy. I want them to do that again. I want them to have a real guy play the Hulk. And just like a real massive green guy. Like
so it wasn't like it. I guess it's before
because I think you could enhance that structure with, rather than making like a new CGI giant Hulk, having like a slightly larger than like, because like the Hulk was only supposed to be like 7 foot in those shows, and Lou Ferrigno was already like 6 something.
What's the archetype of the Hulk? Who is that guy?
What do you mean?
Like the pattern of the Hulk. Like what is like the fundamental core root of him?
It's anger.
His nucleus.
It's anger. It's he represents anger. And I must have been a very angry kid. It's anger.
Yeah,
it's 100%.
It is.
Yeah,
totally.
It gets angry and becomes a Hulk.
Yeah.
And the show, they mentioned that pain would sometimes have the same effect. He's like, sometimes pain will have the same.
Because that's how he became the Hulk. He was going to die.
But it's
somehow.
like a traumatic response. And in the pilot of that show, they talk about how he's trying to study strength, and he's studying like
what's his origin story?
In that show, let's talk about the show. I really love that show. I watched the most of it. It's like the pure Hulk in its purest form, as far as I'm concerned. And that show, his name is David Banner because they thought Bruce was too gay. Yeah, Bruce was like associated with homosexuals. Yeah, you made me want a cigarette for some reason. I don't know why, but he
you could vape if you have it.
No, I didn't bring it. He's studying like mothers getting adrenaline rushes and lifting their kids. Like a car flips over and like a mom I lifted the car, and like they're interviewing like some families and like a mother who lifted the car up off of her son, and he was like, and then meanwhile the reason why he's studying this is because his wife died in a car crash, so like he had a car crash and he couldn't muster the strength to save her. And then started studying it, and then also there's like I think there's supposed to be like a
this is
like
Bruce
a slight,
Banner, right?
It starts his name David Banner in
David
the show.
Banner, right.
And Bill Bixby, and he's starting to like almost resent like the fact that people are getting strong and he's obsessed with it, and he's like, why couldn't I be strong when I needed to be? And he one thing leads to another. His conclusion is that gamma radiation. He wants to test to see if that has an effect, and he puts himself in a machine at his lab, and and radiates the shit out of himself. And like the intro to that show is him in the machine, like getting put into it. And it looks like an X-ray, like it looks like almost like a head X-ray or something.
It's always some external power.
And he just radiates the fuck out of himself, and that's it. That's how he becomes the Hulk. And on his way home, he crashes his car and becomes the Hulk and stuff like that. Like he loses his tire and he's smashing his hand and stuff trying to change it.
That's how he survived.
Yeah, or he becomes the Hulk though. Like just out of he's having like the worst night of his life. Becomes the Hulk, destroys his car, and it's more of like a werewolf or something like that too. It's like almost like a Frankenstein or a werewolf.
I thought the Hulk story was they become the Hulk in this moment where like they're about to die, and then the Hulk saves them.
In the new movies, they almost make it seem that way,
but that's not.
It's almost like well, it says like that does kind of happen. It's supposed to be from like extreme distress, like extreme, right. So like if like he gets angry, he can get angry on the phone and like turn into the Hulk, and that's really what it's supposed to be. But like falling off a building, like if Scarlett Johansson pushes him off the cliff and then the Hulk jumps back up, he basically like kind of died and regenerates, and that's more of like a Wolverine thing. That's more of like the Hulk coming. It's almost like it was like a fundamental thing.
But it's interesting with all these superhero movies.
They confuse this. Okay, also that's my problem too. They confuse these rules. It's like something like it's like a fish drowning underwater. You know, it's like in SpongeBob when the fishes drown underwater or something like that. It's like they're underwater this whole time. Like these Marvel movies like are not consistent with like a lot of these rules, and then it's like. Well, some guy will be too weak for something there, and then over here he's fine. Or they'll forget Superman has heat ray vision, and he shouldn't be in this scenario at all. Or, just like weird shit. Or, they forget like, Superman's in handcuffs or something weird. Like, like those movies are careless.
It's hard to keep it all straight.
I feel like there's too many fingers in the pie. It's just a big cash brag. Like Martin Scorsese called those just all amusement park films.
I mean, they're like definitely amusing.
And the original Hulk was so deep and fucking... I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty well.
Each superhero, I think, represents like a type of person.
Yeah.
And you have like the Hulk type, and then you have.
And I always really appreciated Spider-Man, but I was always like, I'm the Hulk. And then also, as I got older, I related more to Batman, I would say, but that's also because I don't have any powers, bro.
I don't know if it's like a type of person, like, I don't know, like, so you have all of these different ways that people categorize themselves, even just, I'm a Gemini, I'm a blah, 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 like they have personality tests, they have astrology, and I think people are generally recognizing that people are of a type. What type am I? How can I use that as a predictive framework for how people are going to act?
I will say on that,
myself.
Two things I want to say about that. First one is, just to say the last thing about superheroes, on that note is like I remember in middle school thinking like, what if I had a superpower where I could be funny? Like I could pause time and think of the best, funniest statement and then replay it and then just like, and I just realized like, well,
go do stand up for 30 years.
The thing is what I realized in that fantasy was that it's like, well, you're basically saying that you are funny enough to come up with something. You just need enough time is what you're saying. Like, and then I was like, what if I could stop time and come up with the best thing? And then like, I was like, wait a minute. Wow. I actually have that idea. I caught myself actually realizing like, am I capable of just being the funniest person or something like that? And then like, I remember watching comedy like when I was young, and like, I've been watching comedy my whole life actually, but like in middle school was when I got like large influences. And, I remember like realizing like being like I would almost do this, but I would only say the funny stuff, just like having that idea like I would do that, but I'd trim all the stuff that's not funny, and like that's what everybody's trying to do. And then it didn't hit me till I was like 14, and like I had this class called Teen Leadership where like everybody told me I should do stand up because I was basically doing stand up every day, public speaking and stuff like that, leadership qualities.
Yeah, I feel like somebody has to tell you. Few people have to tell you before you're gonna like go be like, here's what I think. Let me tell you under the lights.
But as far back to what you were saying though on personality types, I did a bunch of acid one time in my room, and a lot of stuff happened. There's like a famous trip I like to like re-reference a lot, and where I took like 2 tabs of acid and was getting like the giant neon wall visuals and stuff like that around me, and I was writing a lot of this stuff down. I actually still have the stuff I was writing, but one time I at one point I like convinced I was like it was like I don't know, I don't know if I got, because you lose your train of thought a lot on acid too, because it just like obliterates your perception of time, and I felt like I was communicating with like aliens or like beings mentally, and they had a bunch of weird stuff to say like that. They
You
were like,
remember any of it?
well, one of the main things
Maybe
was
you
like
were.
that there are only a set amount of personality types. There was like around like 13 or something weird. I don't know. It was like not necessarily like any no. They weren't like there's 13, but it was like there's like
categories.
there's a few amount, and then it was like everybody kind of we share scenarios that play out. So like different, like it almost seemed to me like at the time I put it as like Shakespearean plays. Like we're all reliving like Shakespearean plays at our own points in time in our own worlds.
But it only makes sense. Like the whole
and like
universe
there's
is
the fat guy, there's the this, there's the that, and like everybody's playing their roles, and everybody's from it's subjective to each person too.
Yeah, like the whole
who
world
they are. They're the
stage.
main character in each of their roles, but they're also fulfilling a role in other people's lives.
Yes.
And then I also had the sense of like, and you ever feel like you're meeting the same people over and over again?
I've met that guy. Like the NPC idea. It's
like
I
have
know
like a
that
best
NPC.
friend. Like I feel like I keep seeing him in comedy. Like there's like multiple people that remind me of this one guy.
You ever meet somebody and their
like,
eyes are just dead, and you're like, this thing's a machine. It's a robot. For
I
whatever reason, when I was in Vegas,
I give people the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, like,
well, that's nice.
I know that sometimes like that's real. Like people do have dead eyes and they are dead inside, and you should almost fear that person.
It's not
but,
like afraid. It's it's like they're a plant.
I just try to mine for the good stuff, you know, with people. Like I'm a people person.
But sometimes you do meet somebody and they're just like, I don't know, they're not there. They're vacant.
Sometimes, do you ever fucking hate someone?
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
like I can't stand this motherfucker. Or like, I don't get that too often. But like, I remember like, I don't know what it was about this kid. One time, I'm gonna try to be as vague as possible, and like, I don't really know his name and stuff either. But like, there was a kid hanging around, just like being an alcoholic. He reminded me of like another guy I knew, but worse. And like I could just tell his personality. I could just see what was happening to him. I knew he was like a similar kind of guy, and I knew that he was just kind of like lying to himself and the people around. It was just like a really weird guy trying to do comedy that was just trying to do some kind of weird.
That you'd seen.
Just like I just got the feeling that this kid was trying to like had some really weird idea. He wasn't really into it. Didn't seem like he was taking it seriously in the right way, or just, I don't know what the deal was. And like, you remember the kid was really off-putting to me. I didn't want to be around him as much, but I was very nice to him, and he was nice too. And like, I don't know. I try not to be like a bully too. Like I got bullied a lot, and I kind of am considered like a scene. I remember like this girl I was dating, and was just like, I don't know. People say that I give like initial bully vibes, basically. Like I seemed like I was a mean guy that stuffed people in the lockers in school. When I was not at all. I became that after school. But then also I like bullies now. Almost every bully, I kind of realized had the potential to be my friend, almost. And there was a lot of people I couldn't stand, like a lot of like first impressions. There's a lot of people who made really terrible first impressions on me that I became very close with later. Like I would have never have guessed on my first impression. Yeah, that does
happen in life.
That happens to me a lot, and I feel like I do that to people a lot. And but I stand up for myself a lot now, more than I used to, almost too much. And I almost have a no more Mr. Nice Guy like philosophy now that I'm older, because I'm almost like afraid of getting bullied or like stepped on or whatever. But
well,
and like now, and also like years have passed since I came to that conclusion too. So like. I'm not, I don't know, but I make sure to stand up for myself, and I almost like feel the need to be tough. Again, like the Hulk. Like, you know, you're not going to,
But people need to be able to set boundaries, right?
There was one time that this guy was like trying to bully me in my kitchen. We're adults now. And I was like 19. And there's this guy who was like 35 who resented me. and was just like this guy was. I mean, I know I'm losing my hair, especially at a young age.
Are
But
you?
this guy, like, I mean, I have a really distinct like fucking widow's peak, and like I don't know. I feel fine, but
it's all just hair.
other people like to talk to me about that and stuff.
Okay.
But this guy in my kitchen would accuse me of being bald all the time and stuff like that. And among other things, I remember that was like the biggest thing for him though. And he was very patchy, fucked bald. Like it was scary to look at. He had to shave his head all the time. And I made fun of him a couple times just to bust his chops, but I think he took that to heart. And among other things, like this guy was really sneaky and would like go around and talk shit, or you'd say something and he'd blow it out of proportion, or just like he was this real schemy guy. And nobody really took him seriously because he was kind of pathetic. Like he was an asshole, and like everyone knew it too. And he just like wouldn't stop. And I don't remember the exact scenario. I'm trying really hard to paint the context for what I'm about to say, but like he said something really fucking rude to me one time in the kitchen, and I fucking just punched him in the stomach.
Whoa.
And I'm not the kind of guy, and I haven't been in like a shit ton of fights or anything. But it was just like a fucking
pent up.
Boom! I socked him in the gut just real quick and fast, and it was just like I will lose my I had to let this guy know to stop. Like I didn't know what else to do, and he was being so childish that I like was literally like, oh, if you want to be childish, I don't know.
Oh, that's a good.
And it was a quick little thing.
You're teaching.
He didn't tell a soul. It wasn't brought up again.
He was
but
probably embarrassed.
It was, and he definitely didn't act. He respected me more. He didn't, and like he backed off more and stuff. And I worked with him for quite a long time before he quit that kitchen job. We're in a kitchen, and just weird stuff. I just like had to do that one time. It was
There's
just
this,
like a weird dominance thing. Like,
well,
okay,
what
man,
was
like,
wrong with
if
him
you're
that
gonna,
he was needing to do that?
and why did that solve the problem?
Well, I think it solved the problem because
Like,
people need boundaries. They need boundaries, even as a practical way to.
And
know
I promise I'm not the kind of guy that really does that
what
kind
the
of thing.
edges
But
are.
like, it was just I just knew I had to do that, and I just did it, and it helped. It fixed the problem. Like I don't know. I'm also big on like. I try to be a leader. I try to fix problems. I try to be a problem solver, and I'm not the smartest guy. Like,
but like, put yourself in the headspace of somebody who's being really insulting and really rude, and
I've been that guy before.
We all have.
It's projecting most of the time.
It's projecting almost always. Yeah. So like, there's something fucked up in your head where you feel the need to say all that. And this is why I love the idea of karma, where like there's no possible way for you to do something that is even the slightest evil.
I love the idea of karma too. Yeah.
Yeah, like without it rebounding, it always has an after effect.
I feel like they call comedy the karma business. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, and it's just it kind of makes sense if you the way that the context I've heard it. Like Joey Diaz has said that in older episodes, but like.
Of Rogan's podcast or his podcast?
His own, I think, mainly is where, if I'm being specific. But
I've never heard that.
I'm sure he said it on Rogan's too. But he used to like to do it more. But he likes to call comedy the karma business, and it makes sense when you consider like it really is like how much you put in, how much work you're putting in, like the responses. Like
it's a business. It's
almost
startup.
he was almost being
effort.
slightly superstitious about it, and like I almost agree. Like. It is weird. Like, I try not to be superstitious and all that. Like, I did have a huge atheist phase, like a hardcore atheist phase in middle school, and like I actually like kind of eased off of that, honestly. And like especially doing psychedelics and stuff introduced me to being more spiritual, appreciating the religion I was provided with, and things like that.
There's this quote that keeps coming to mind while you're talking from Nietzsche.
And I love talking to my mom and grandma about Catholicism and things like that. Like, it's just I really enjoy it. But
religion is a big part of people's life.
It permanently has the God dynamic in my head is like a permanent thing. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest.
When you're raised young and you have all that stuff put into you. But yeah, the quote is, I call an animal or a species sick when they choose what hurts them.
Yeah.
And like, if you're doing something, if you're insulting, if you're projecting,
that
if you're
fits a lot of things we've spoken about. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Like, and it is such a good definition of sickness, basically. But on the, whatever, we don't have to, we can circle back on to how that connects to other threads on the God and religion thing. What do you believe now?
Dude, I'm really into like the Catholic thing, but like I don't stress about that. I don't Some Muslim fucker.
Some Muslim.
One time I had a
Jewish
Muslim
guy, some
fucker
queer.
friend of mine.
Oh, sorry,
I had a Muslim friend from the country Jordan.
The
and
Q
they're actually
slipped out.
pretty white there, honestly. But I just had a really intriguing talk about religion one time. But basically, it's like
when you
you're
die,
not,
do you wake
you're
up
really
somewhere, or
the
what's
last
up?
thing you need to do is stress over that.
That's very
The
true,
last
right?
thing you need to do, whatever conclusion you come to, is like you really.
It's the last thing you have to do. And
so
it's
like-
like the first thing everyone does. It's like everything is
So,
about God and religion. It's the last thing you have to stress about.
I think in my experience, in my context, in my background, it's a little easier to kind of come to like a religious conclusion and then not think about it anymore, because then it's easier to kind of throw away. It's easier to kind of look at things as fate. Oh, that's what I was trying to bring up earlier. Basically, is I don't know, just I do kind of have like a superstition. Sometimes I let myself get superstitious for creativity too. So like, I know this doesn't really make any sense or align with any particular ideology, but like, I have a chip on my shoulder almost, or not a chip on my shoulder, a confidence, because I'm born here doing comedy. I was born in Austin. Or I was born just the city over, but I grew up in Austin.
This is your home.
I feel like a connection to the land, like a weird Native American connection, like I feel, and I almost was like tell myself that the city's giving back to me. And then also just like kind of taking to heart for fun.
That's a cool idea.
For the most part, about comedy being the karma business and like being righteous and putting in hard work and treating it like a real job.
What that means though.
Treating it like a real job, and what you put in, you get out. You know, if you want a lot out of comedy, you better be ready to.
But everything that you want to build
lot.
from the ground up is going to take everything you have.
That
You
yeah,
know,
so you
like-
could say that karma is involved in everything, I guess.
Well, right. I guess that is the point of
That
karma.
is that is the conclusion to come to. That, and then also that's the samurai shit of how like once you like master something, you start seeing that in everything, you know. So like, you know.
Yeah. Once you figure out how to do something, you can repeat it and apply
That's
that
probably what-
process to multiple
And
dimensions.
the world is just math for one thing too. Math is just
Probably,
the
right?
representation of the world.
Yeah, it is
like,
the most fundamental.
Geometry is the shapes.
Science.
Math is counting counting.
You have math and
numbers are the units.
biology. Well, math, chemistry, biology, and then
I remember
everything
like
else.
that didn't.
Well, no, you
that
have
didn't
math,
click to me
physics,
till an acid
chemistry,
trip.
biology, and then everything else.
That didn't click to me till an acid trip. Like one time, that like,
It feels so good when
math
those
is the
things click into
world.
place.
Oh, the world is math.
But I don't know
And then
if
it's
these
like-
scientists understand.
One time
too
I had
much
like
yet.
a vision
I
of
think
like
we're
numbers
just getting
exploding, like the
started.
Big Bang, but then like a bunch of numbers came out of it, and I was like, "What does it mean? What does it mean?" I'm trying to think about math, and I'm having these images. Like I had like a,
But even
it
math
looked like
has
a
to be
Death Star
discovered.
of like grids and
You
like
know, like,
mathematical equations playing out.
What
in
is
them.
infinity?
But here's the
Infinity means
conclusion.
We don't understand all the math.
I was like, it's. I basically came to the conclusion that it's the math itself. It's like,
What, the
the numbers
universe?
itself. Like I don't know. Like
Like the number 4 or what?
basically it this like I was like, all these numbers, what do they mean?
Dude, I have had
the
that
numbers
idea.
themselves are the universe. Like
Oh, I see.
the answer is the numbers themselves.
I have
don't know,
had
it was
the
like-
idea that the whole universe revolves around a single number, and I think this was before I saw it in a movie or a TV show.
Well, isn't it trippy how zero is like it was like a religion? It's like a weird like
Zero makes sense to me actually.
Zero was like one of my math
Well,
teachers showed us like a documentary about how they
it's
used to
an
not believe in
approximation.
zero.
Well, there's nothing
something
that's
weird.
truly zero outside
Yeah,
of the
well, like,
theory
it's
of,
a
like,
weird
one-
fucking
you know,
Middle Eastern
math and arithmetic or whatever.
That's like a weird Egyptian conclusion, like the concept of zero and the way we start counting. You know,
Like zero and infinity are
damn, they
like
were in the sand
constructs
just
that
figuring out math, man. They
Yeah.
were just
and rediscovering it, like the same guy that discovered calculus. Like,
well, like if you have pieces
Newton
missing,
or
you
something.
will discover them. That's the beauty of math and science.
but that's the whole point.
or
of, like,
science changes.
Science is always
The Earth is
changing.
flat.
Yeah.
but-
Like, try to drive off the edge and tell me how that goes. Like, find the edge. If it's flat, you should be able to find the edge.
Oh man, it's just that's the.
Like, where's the edge?
It's just a fun game for contrarians.
It is
It's
hilarious.
just-
but
yeah. I
love
always
it.
make.
Yeah.
I always act like I'm a flat earther for some reson. I don't know why. I think it's just funny to be like, of
It is
course
funny.
it's flat. Like I don't know.
What do people say? Like, there's a crystal dome above. You know,
There-
it's like, well,
I
how do
read-
meteorites hit the Earth then?
I've heard a
Like,
bunch of things.
one just hit
Basically,
Russia.
you're like a half circle, basically, like or a cone. You're an ice cream cone almost, and like going straight up. And that's what gravity is because you're going straight up, and you're also spiraling or something.
Well,
weird.
if it is flat, why can't we find an edge?
Because the government and
Yeah,
also
exactly. The
Antarctica is like a fortress keeping us in. We think it's this little thing at the bottom, but it's actually this wall.
It's made of ice. You could just dress in a lot of
it's
warm
actually
gear and walk
ice
it.
border.
I'm pretty sure you can walk.
It's a small thing, but
it's hilarious. It's funny.
I don't know. They have everything covered. Like I had a buddy who really assured me of that.
We have
every
like
point. They're
we have
be
a
like,
lot
you can
of
do
things solved in science, but I think we're just now getting started with the big questions, and everything is just a theory until it's been proven and tested and and proven multiple times in multiple.
I almost
dimensions.
don't see us having as much of the problem as we've had in the past of like, you know, people believing in like wrong scientific theories that are disproven, and then you got the scientists that won't let go.
Well, people should educate themselves because it's like very.
Well, I think we're at a point where there's not going to be there's less of that as we go on.
I think so too.
I think there's a lot less.
Information is so accessible now, and like, you know, you don't have one of the most annoying things about scientists is they like say things in a way that's way more complicated than it has to be. They could use simple words, but they went to school for 20 years and never got fucked, and so now we all have to pay for it.
It's like politicians. Scientists are a little more probably excusable.
I just think that they mask their knowledge because
they
want to appear
it's like the whole, if you
smarter
can't
than
explain
they are.
it to a
It's like
6-year-old.
nothing is that complicated. Quantum physics, like all this shit is like not that crazy.
If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't really understand it.
Well,
kind
I
of
don't
thing.
understand quantum physics.
But
I don't understand any of it, but I get the concepts that, like, you know, just starting in all things are made.
I don't
of
have
atoms.
enough interest. I don't have
and
enough
then those atoms
interest.
have particles, and then okay.
I mean, I can be like, okay, you're gonna take a test about quantum physics, learn what you can, and all that. I don't give a shit to the point where like I might just lose that right away.
But that's the bleeding edge.
But I've never really tried.
Of unprovable. Like nobody really knows. We're like building these super colliders to test these theories, and some of the stuff we do get data and are able to find. But all of it is probably just math. It's all just vibrating strings in space, and we're trying to draw boundaries around it and be like, that's a rock. What the fuck? You'll never be able to describe what that rock is. You'll never know it in its infinite complexity because you can only know what you manage to sense and what humans have discovered about rocks, and you've only learned a subset of that to begin with. So everything is, this is one thing I got from my, now I'm all riled up. One thing I got from my mushroom trip, that I had a similar trip that was impactful, was that it's hilarious that people draw boundaries around things. And the only reason they draw boundaries and they encapsulate something with a word is so that they can describe it, because everything is infinitely complex and we've discovered none of that complexity to date. So we have to like simplify it into one word, and then we're like rock, blurb, you know?
The boundaries are necessary.
They're necessary.
To getting you there.
Yeah,
to the point.
Because otherwise we can't communicate.
Well, it's also like a boundary. What is a boundary is also like can be a lot of things, but like having constructs are important tools to articulate and manipulate. But your environment.
I'm so annoyed that scientists always pass off their knowledge like it's fact, when in reality they've only know what they've managed to learn, which is a subset of what's been discovered. So
I have a bad habit of just taking what those smart guys say, like without any.
You kind of have to, right?
Yeah, I'm like, you have glasses. You must know, you know. But
nobody can learn all of like physics and chemistry and all this stuff. Like it's impossible. But you can just get the broad strokes, and it's pretty.
Neil
good.
deGrasse Tyson's a big one where he kind of goes around like.
He's a good debunker.
Yeah, like he just does that. You know, he just kind of blows off. He seems to blow stuff off a lot, and then it's like, well, it makes you think. I don't know. Makes you want to study. I don't know.
Well, he's got a good.
That's all boring nerd shit.
It does. Well, I think it's like very fascinating. Maybe that's just me. I think it's very interesting, and there's so much that has been discovered. And honestly, you can learn.
You think science is very, very interesting?
Yeah,
I mean, it is. I love biology,
but I think science and religion are the same exact thing. We're just trying to understand reality. That's all we're trying to do here. We're trying to figure out what is real and what to do about it.
That's why they were fighting wars. And at this point, we're at a conclusion where it's like science is almost looked at like a math or something like that. And where it kind of should be, it's more of like a tool. Like science is,
it's a tool.
Science is the understanding of how of the world and how it reacts to each other. And math like represents the world, but science is the applicable knowledge of the world.
I don't know. I don't see them.
There's a definition.
I think math is a tool, chemistry is a tool, physics is a tool. You know, like all of these.
Well, they're
methods,
not. Well,
but
physics,
none of them.
It's not a tool.
No
I mean, we
theory.
use our understanding of it as a tool. But physics itself exists on its own.
That is a question I've always had that I've never been able to come to a conclusion on. Is math must exist on its own?
Yeah, that's what my conclusion was with that trip of having like I said, I had a big bang, and like numbers flew out of it.
It's a discovery
in my head. Like I was like, so what
math.
the fuck does that mean? And it was like the Big Bang unleashed math everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
but then it's like, well, you got 2 marbles on the ground. I mean, there's 2 marbles on the ground.
But somebody had to discover arithmetic.
One is sure as fuck real because I'm alone. I'm lonely as fuck. I'm one. And damn, but now I'm too sad to go out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's like that is the only thing that we can prove is that we exist.
And then there's one and there's none. The 1 and 0. And so like how many of one are there? It's really just all number. Like the number 100 is 100 times.
Yeah.
Man, it's just, I mean, where do you start counting? I guess well,
there's higher mathematics. Like people are going to invent new maths.
So counting, this whole concept of counting we have is just trying to make sense of items in front of us. That's like a lot of that is our subjective mind.
So it isn't a human creation. It's a discovery of the universe, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to these questions.
Yeah, that's just one of those things where it's like, that's too vague for people to really appreciate.
I don't know either.
But like, yeah, I mean, everything is like that. Like how that's like kind of saying like this microphone isn't natural. We built this. It's metal. It doesn't belong in nature.
It's true.
We came from nature though. They are natural. On another planet where Earth happens and people happen, they're gonna make their own microphones.
Probably true.
And just fish. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the idea that everything that we interface with is an artificial world already. We already live in a virtual reality because none of this is from nature.
That's also like people psych themselves out thinking they're going to be in like the Matrix or whatever. But it's that's back to the religious. Like The Sopranos covers that pretty well. It's like,
yeah, I've never seen it.
Just ignore it, basically. Just ignore it, man. They don't. There are plenty of things to stress about
these days. I think,
but like
the Matrix might be
having
more
man versus what is that? Man versus God. Whenever you're like philosophical and like that's destroying, you can destroy your life, like by being too obsessed with meaning
in your head.
But also, I think a lot has to be going well for you if you're obsessed with like what does it all mean. I think
nobody starving is like.
I think people will always suffer, and I think you will put yourself in suffering if you don't have it already, no matter who you are. And it's kind of like people caught up with like really bad mental disorders like bipolar and stuff like that. The problem never gets fixed. They reintroduce another problem. They don't want it fixed.
Bipolar.
They don't want it. It's always. It's like though. The problem comes first. You are after an issue here, and your life is revolved around.
A little mental illness is the spice of life.
Yeah.
It's just adding a little variety. It's like salt and pepper to a dish.
But not when there's a lot of yelling on Christmas, man.
Yeah, you can oversalt things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But
nobody likes cumin. I don't know. Maybe cumin's good.
And it's crazy how much like progress you can make with yourself, and then you still have to deal with somebody else who's just started and things like that. And
yeah,
and then all these are opinions too. Like I don't know. I think we naturally consider ourselves to be like a normal. We consider ourselves to be normal naturally. Like it's just natural to be like, oh, I'm normal. I'm my point of reference because I'm familiar with myself. And then you judge other people and be like, you're crazy or you're wrong or you're this and that. And
I just think nobody knows. I mean, I empathize with that, and I definitely grew up thinking like I'm this guy, and that's the way it is. The older I get, the more convinced. I'm not even convinced. I see it as a fundamental fact of the universe that none of these monkeys walking around, nobody knows. For one human to lead another is madness. It's madness. Now we have ideas. We have provable, testable theories, math, science, all that stuff. And so we have some clues as to what's really happening. But for the Muslims to say this is God, and the Jews to say no, that's God, and the Christians it's all the God of Abraham. What the fuck are you talking about? You guys are on the same team.
It's not necessary. It's also not. It's not necessary. They all do know they believe in the same God. It's more so that like.
Yeah, these rules are the one rule.
He wants whatever. He wants this. It needs to be.
It's all about control. It's all about power. People just like in the same way a politician likes to have power, a clergyman, a priest likes to have power.
Yeah, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, of course.
Yeah, but the real power, this comes back to Nietzsche, is the power that you build into yourself.
I think it's
really powerlifting.
Oh yeah. Like actual, that is a manifestation of that, isn't it?
It's literally like literal power being gained.
I think leaders are necessary though. Back to it, just backtracking just a tad. Like for one human to follow another, we need leaders. Like we also really, really like just we have the potential to not need leaders or to be the leader or be your own leader. But that is such like a.
I think people want leaders.
Well, like, dude, you're trapped on an island. Someone has to take initiative, and like I know, like Lord of the Flies shows like how bad that can go. But then it's also like
it's a dangerous concentration of power.
And it's also just like in family dynamics and stuff like that. The father is the leader and needs to be a provider and a protector.
I think you do have to have that concentration of power to get anything done in this world. And so, you need leaders.
Well, in the world we've created too.
In the world that we've created. And it's a natural thing. We see the same thing in other animals and other species, that they'll be like the alpha lion or whatever. What was it? Yeah, frogs are gay. Yeah, these queer frogs. Switching genders all the time.
Mm-hmm. Gender is another thing. It's like you were talking about boundaries earlier. There's a huge boundary, but it's I mean,
all this gender confusion is absolutely interesting.
I think we got for a long time. What I think was confusing people was like people felt like, gender. You have the right. You do have the right for your gender to be a construct if you feel that way. Like, I mean, if you want to change your gender and stuff like that, like that really is up to you. If you're trying, I don't know.
How much do you think it is true versus a bid for attention?
You have to be able to acknowledge like your natural genders and things like that. And, which is a sensitive topic for people with, transgendered individuals. And, because it's like now they have like what was your cis, like, what was your biological, what was your original, and then like you go to like fill out like a CVS thing, and then they're like, what was your original gender, and why do we have to ask, or why is that relevant? And then then you get like social justice warriors who I don't know.
It's interesting, this trend.
It's
I mean, I'm all for like blowing open the categories. Yeah, let's open Pandora's box wide open.
Yeah,
see what comes out.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say, honestly,
about the genders,
about that stuff. Yeah. It is just kind of like it is.
Do whatever you want. You can be a furry. You can be a whatever. I don't even know
the other gender. Yeah, some people's world.
You can't be multiple. That's just greedy. Come on, you can't say they them. Like you're gonna be multiple. You're gonna confuse the whole pronoun system. And then I have to like mess with my reality to conform to that? No chance. No fucking chance.
You ever worn it
a singular just like everyone else.
You ever put on women's clothing?
I'm sure. Yeah.
One time I looked at a pair of panties and I was like, I thought about trying them on. And then I was afraid. I was like, that might be a door you open. You can never go back down. And I set them down.
Oh yeah. I mean, just as a kid, I've never done it as an adult, but
I was like 11 or something.
Make believe or whatever.
I was like, let me try these. I was like, let's put these panties on. And I was like,
see what it's like.
No, don't do that. What if you can't stop?
Oh well,
what if you can't
I think
stop?
If you're like in your 20s or 30s and you're still doing it, you got a problem.
When I was 11, I was like, this might ingrain something. That I don't know.
That's probably a good idea. It's probably a good idea.
Should have been a girl back then, man.
Yeah. Man, we have covered some territory. What do we need to circle back on?
Like I said, I'm the kind of guy where like I trail off a lot. Oh no, camera died. I did notice with those cameras, they turned off after a while. Like always, I didn't know how to stop it. Just like after a certain like space or whatever, like I could never figure out how to like get them to stay on for more than 30 minutes or something weird like that.
I have like an extended battery, but it's fine. Whatever.
Interesting. You use Audacity too.
I
do use it a lot because it's a quick, easy one to jump onto.
Let's talk about AI. Let's conclude with AI.
Yeah.
So I think that all these content jobs, AV, filmmaking, anything to do with production of content is about to get way easier. Like I talk to ChatGPT until it tells me not to every single day. Whenever it says you've made too many requests in an hour, that's when I, close my laptop. Not every day, but very often.
I am like too scared to be into AI to the level you are. Like
I'm terrified of it as well.
That's part of the excitement, right? That is part of the interest too.
It's just powerful. It's just crazy powerful.
Dude, I see it being like I really see it being able to do whatever we can fathom. And here's the thing: you're trying to recreate a person, is what you're doing. When you're trying to recreate a computer, You're trying to get like you're trying to make a better person. That's ultimately like that's what all technology is leading to.
Yes.
You're wanting an ear to be,
All
like
engineers are trying to rebuild their mind.
they're trying to
into code.
rebuild like the optimal human in different ways, or the optimal thing to make enhance life. But
Well, I think we're trying to rebuild intelligence.
we want another species. We want another species. Like we want like a tech species.
You ever hear of Terrence McKenna?
Yeah. I don't
He's a
know
philosopher
too much
guy.
about him. I know he takes a lot of psychedelics.
He's
has a lot
a
of visions.
very big proponent of psychedelics. But one of the things he always said is we're trying to build a tool, not just any tool, a tool that can do anything. And then he would say anything.
No, very much so. Yeah.
And
like,
that's what AI is. It's a tool that can do anything.
well, that's just like the that's like what we're all implying, right? That's like, just that's like
I mean, that's
obviously
where we're
it's
headed.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
And I think a lot of movies get at least, if not the whole thing right, like lots of parts. Like I think 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of the most accurate portrayals, even though like they got the 2001, we weren't doing that shit. But it is like
Well, they say like, oh, these machines, they won't have emotions. It's like emotions are responsible for fucking every atrocity that's ever been done.
we're seeing personal companies go out into space and stuff like that. And like in 2001, there was like LG on the spaceships and stuff like that. That's what's happening now. We're gonna have Google, Tesla spaceships,
Totally.
Apple spaceships and stuff like that if we get our way. And
I mean, I think it's already happening. SpaceX has reusable rockets.
I don't know, with all these flat earthers and everybody.
Yeah, what are they going to do when we got a moon base? They're like, oh, that's part of the flatness.
It's
all the universe is flat. That's what they're going to say. It's the flat universe.
Dude, so far we have kind of dropped the ball with space, man.
Yeah, that's
space.
So true.
Space is so fucking vague and unknown. We've
in the oceans, but
we know more about space in the ocean also, apparently, which is crazy. But
well, it helps that you can see it all.
I honestly think though we've had to have traveled. That being said, I still think we've traveled the ocean more. I think the ocean is just so vast, and space. Well, space, I think no air is better than water. like no air is submerged in a dangerous.
With light, you can just look at these different frequencies and then just see different time periods depending on that frequency. So that's what the James Webb Space Telescope is really good at, is looking back in time.
It's so fantastical, all of it. Like the idea that like the fucking module that they were in with the original first moon landing was like paper thin walls. They could fucking foil. You could rip your hand through.
I think they're always going to be
you
that
could
way.
hit your foot through it and like just rip through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you're in fucking space. How did that not happen?
Seriously.
How did that just, how'd you not drop, or I guess you can't drop a wrench, but like,
they call it the tyranny of the rocket equation.
That's
the more
that's one of
mass
the,
you add, the
that's
harder
one of the
it is
biggest,
to get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no escaping it until we come up with like some theory of gravity or whatever, like.
How do you feel about the conspiracy theories about all that being bullshit though?
Oh,
like
what?
The moon landings being bullshit and all
I don't
that.
think
that's
it was
all
bullshit.
separate from flat Earth and stuff.
Even if it was, we can do it now, so I don't think
and like
it really matters.
Stanley Kubrick's probably one of my biggest inspirations. I will bring him up nonstop a lot. There's but he's famous for being accused of coordinating the moon landing.
I've never looked into it, but like we have the rocks, and we've gotten more rocks since then.
It's
so
like you can be the contrarian flat earther like the whole way on that shit. Like you really can be like,
I just think
those are lava rocks.
You would have to have a government that is so sophisticated and intelligent that it could actually keep that secret. The government isn't that effective.
But there's that, and there's also like you keep it small. I could see it literally going both ways. Is what's weird.
It'd be cool.
There's so much incentive for both sides. There's more incentive to fake it, honestly.
I think it's harder to fake it than it is to do it. Actually,
I think we
That's
did
my
it
problem
too.
with it.
I actually think we did it too. But there's so many more. It's so many more arguments. So many more everything.
Well, we're building a base on it right now. So what does it even matter if it was faked? I mean,
but it's also like we only went a handful of times. It wasn't worth it when we stopped competing with other countries for it. We stopped. There is like a world unification to space travel, and also the idea of aliens coming.
Competition.
Aliens coming is gonna cause mass hysteria, like for sure. But then it's also like the theory behind Watchmen.
It would unite the world, though.
The theory behind Watchmen, let's spoil Watchmen just a little bit, is like it's a guy trying to introduce an alien. So he like I don't remember if he created it or gets like a being, he either finds an alien or creates one, and sends in a nuke, basically blames it on the alien. I don't know. He rigs an alien attack.
Oh yeah.
using like a portal and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And it's all fabricated, and it's meant to like, and it wipes out like, and it kills entire New York City. That's like what the main like villain or antagonist in that movie is doing. And Dr. Manhattan is like a godlike level guy. He's like the only superhero mutant like really in that universe. He agrees with it because he's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. If you that what that's gonna do, the alien attack will unify the world, and then we'll be all working together against aliens. Even though there are no aliens, you fabricated it or whatever. If there are aliens, they're not attacking. You sent like a giant whale through, and space whale and all that. But yeah, that's like the big theory, that if aliens come, we'll all unify. And I know that, I don't know. I mean, I saw a UFO one time.
Nice.
I saw it locally from here. I saw it in North Austin.
What did it look like?
It looked like I was with a girl. And I don't remember if we had just smoked weed or we were trying to smoke weed or in the process of it. I'm gonna probably interview her at some point and try to like, have her and I like talk about that in depth. But it looked like the top of a water tower. It looked like a weird rocket, and it was cylindrical, and it was metallic-y, and it reminded me of like a sheet metal texture, and it had a turbo booster in the back, like a Rocket League style, like torch flame coming out of the back. Do you think it was just like a government
thing then?
It was she was pretty certain at the time that's what it was. I didn't know. I really didn't know, and I try not to jump to conclusions to the point where it was scaring me to not jump to a conclusion, but it moved like a blimp, but it clearly wasn't a blimp, We got like a really good look at it, and it was really big. It was hard to tell how big it was versus how close it was. But I remember it being like as tall as this building is. From the ground is how high it was, and
that's close.
And it flew over us, and like this like slow, like I said, it moved like a blimp, and just like came right over us, and it was like almost sounded like a hybrid car or something like that, weird. And
was it a blimp?
It flew on by. It couldn't have been a blimp, dude. Like I saw it, like there was no compartment for a blimp or anything like that. Like it was just like, and I don't know how it could have been floating. It didn't have wings.
I don't know. There's no aliens. Sorry to say, guys.
I don't think it was aliens. I really don't think that was aliens. But I'll tell you what, though.
If there
seeing
are aliens,
that and being like, what the fuck is that?
There's bacteria.
It was so intense and all that. And I've told this story before. I got fucking instantly pissed off. I got furious upon seeing that and being like, and then realizing that I'm looking at something unordinary or secretive or something like that. Rage, instant struck full with rage. Yeah, I went to the Hulk. Yeah, I got fucking angry and got us out of there immediately. Took her home right away and went home myself. Like, because I was like afraid that the government or something was gonna come, Men in Black were gonna come, or something weird like that, or aliens themselves. I had this feeling it was gonna circle back, which was really scary, or something like that, or the aliens would come or shoot a beam or something weird. You get this small complex too. You feel like you're an ant versus a person. So it's like that's the person, I'm the ant now. Also, so I had this like really weird, like it triggered like a weird primal thing I would have never ever guessed. I could have lived my whole life with never felt that primal feeling.
Never felt that, but I have seen some shit that I can't explain.
And anyway, I took her home right away. I was like, we're going right now. And like, I like basically like, I didn't have to like grab her by the hand, but like that level of anger. But like,
it's a good response to danger is anger.
Like I was like, let's go. And then like I got her, I just took her in the car, like, and then we couldn't come to a conclusion. She thinks it's aliens more now because of the alien sketchy shit the government's trying to
Wouldn't we have
expose.
A picture of them? That's my biggest question with these alien guys.
We do.
Yeah, it's always a smudge.
No. Well, whether it's real or not, there's like plenty of alien footage, dude. Of
yeah,
like
but
weird,
like none
grays
of it is
walking.
like
No. I mean clear gray walking around. When I was in middle school, there was a lot more, and like I think people were faking them too. YouTube went around like taking down everything like that. I remember they were cracking down and making videos about how they were doing that.
People don't even have to fake them. UFOs are real.
No.
There's unidentified flying objects. We just don't identify.
There used to be a lot more like videos of this kind of thing. Of like videos, like I used to see like Hitler shaking an alien's hand, like old timey thing, and there's a famous picture of Hitler with aliens. There's a famous picture of like an alien dissected, but they all look like that. They're like classic grays. And there was like a thing where like an alien's in like a room operating on a big computer. And dude, it really seems real. I heard another story. Like I'm going to try to skim over this, but like a guy who actually was like working for the government who made contact with aliens that like my stepdad met. And then he said he actually found videos of the particular context involving aliens or whatever. And then saved them right away, and they were pulled off the internet right away. But the guy actually had them.
I'd love to
like,
meet
that's
one.
the alien that blew off my fingers, and the guy had like burnt fingers that were chopped off and stuff. But
maybe one day I'll get to talk to one on this show.
But I did. This is very Lex Friedman-y also. I love the Lex Friedman podcast, and like you love talking about AI and things like that. I really appreciate these topics and things. But
yeah, he has a great show and a great mind.
He's a sucker for what does that say? I think battery might be.
Oh, all right. Well, we should wrap this one up, I guess.
Yeah, I think we
burned out the camera on this one, so we're on one feed, but we'll have to do it another time. Daniel Sheppard, where can people find you?
At Lieutenant Dan on Instagram, Painkiller Productions on YouTube, and the High Tonight Show on YouTube, and we also have it on WeTube and High Tonight Show on Instagram as well.
Oh yeah,
very heavily involved with, but yeah.
All right, we'll keep talking about aliens next time.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to just
thank you guys for joining us. See ya.